I was unlawfully arrested.
Bradley, your mom's behind us.
Yeah! Hey, so we got a huge story coming out. We're going to include the burnout video on this. Absolutely crazy. There's been some type of rights broken here. So tomorrow I'm contacting a lawyer, not just to legally represent me in this, but also to sue this police department.
What's it like to be a criminal?
I don't know, man. I ain't found out yet. Here's what my attorney has to say about arresting Officer Cody Evans.
First of all, I'm retired police, and
Gotcha.
there's two types of cops: ones that had their lunch money taken, and ones that took lunch money.
Exactly.
And it sounds to me like this boy had his lunch money taken. I'll make.
We bought a cop car, we brought it home, we bought this car to do burnouts at different competitions like LS Fest. My 3-year-old son said, "Daddy, do a burnout." The burnout's not even that big, man. We did a little bitty burnout we were just ripping it in front of the house. I don't see what the big deal. We let it rip, so we do these burnouts and everything's good, you know, and then the next day we hit the store in the car, and next thing you know, the parking lot's loaded with cops. While we're at Tractor Supply, you know, there's cops surrounding the car. So being very aggressive with us, immediately asked for my ID. I said, well, you know, I haven't committed any law, you know, broke any laws or anything like that, you know, and they told me, you know, specifically Officer Evans, if you don't give me your ID, I'm taking you to jail. So that was immediately what was said to me, and I asked, I was like, hey, I'm trying to leave, and they told me I was being detained at that time. They told me that we were going up and down Wilma Rudolph playing music and pulling people over, and that they got a tag number that matches his car, and I was like, well, we've never pulled anybody over or displayed any lights on Wilma Rudolph. And yes, we did play music on the PA system, particularly Gangster's Paradise going down Wilma Rudolph. And, you know, just theatrics, joking around, me and my buddies, but that's not a law, you know. So the calls that they got that came in were that we were going down Wilma Rudolph and a police car playing Gangster's Paradise, and they gave a tag number. On any of those calls, it didn't say that we were pulling people over or flashing lights or anything of that nature. The incident that involves the whole flashing lights and pulling people over, that happened here at my house. So there was a caller, and we believe we know who it is that lives down the street, but they called in and said that we were pulling people over, multiple cars to include a Mustang, and, you know, that we were, you know, playing the sirens and lights and all that stuff and acting ridiculous with it. And yes, we were acting ridiculous with the car. My 3-year-old said, "Daddy, do a burnout," and that's the whole reason why we got the car. So we were doing burnouts in the driveway and in front of my house. I mean, the marks are out there to prove it. And also we got video to prove it, you know. There was about 15 to 20 people over here, which are all eyewitnesses and was with me the entire day that we were doing things with this car. We also have the proof that they said it was that evening that we were doing this stuff. This car never moved. It's set in one spot, and we got all the evidence right here. He's going to put it up on the screen right here and now, and all this has been downloaded. This is all evidence to, you know, support our claim that we weren't doing anything wrong. Fast forward to the day that we were doing burnouts and stuff. All that took place. The neighbors were over, my next door neighbors and neighbors across the street. We're all having a good time, and you know, put the car up. So all this took place the next day whenever we were arrested. So they take me down to the jail and they arrest me based off this anonymous caller saying that we were pulling people over, and they brought me in front of the magistrate judge. And this was the initial warrant, so that's not what they're telling you in Clarksville Today and all this stuff. There was an initial warrant, and the magistrate judge just kept shaking his head, and he said, where's the probable cause for this? You know, who did he pull over? You know, and they said, well, we don't know, you know. So he said, well, is there a description of him driving the vehicle, pulling people over? And they said, no. Do you have any video evidence of him pulling anybody over? No. But he admitted to doing burnouts in the car and flashing the blue lights. And I did, you know, and that's a ticketable offense. If you want to give me a ticket for having blue lights on a roadway in front of my house, that's fine. If you want to give me a ticket for, you know, doing burnouts for reckless driving, that's fine too. I'm willing to take that. But as far as impersonating or criminal impersonation, I didn't impersonate anybody. You know, the blue light ticket and the reckless driving, those aren't arrestable offenses, you know. And the administrative law judge said this, or the magistrate, excuse me. So he said, you know, who did he pull over? Where are these people at? And the officer said, well, I don't know. There isn't anybody. And so you just got this caller that can't ID him and just gave a description of the car saying that he was pulling people over. But all these people that he pulled over, no one's called in. And he was like, correct. And the magistrate said, this isn't a case. If you want to give him a ticket for the other things, write him a ticket, but this isn't an arrestable offense. So he slid the warrant underneath the counter and said, let him go. At this time, I thought I was supposed to be let go. But unfortunately, I made a comment to the police officer, Mr. Evans, that maybe you should unarrest me now. And his response was, your ass is going to jail today. And we're going to request all the body cam footage from this and footage from inside the car and the recordings. So he begins to tell me that he's going to contact his lieutenant and they're going to have me arrested. And he also tells me that his lieutenant contacted the supervisor of the magistrate office to have a talk to the magistrate that was, you know, dealing with this warrant issue. So this took about 2.5 hours of me sitting in the car after a judge just said to release me. And that's an amendment violation. That's unlawful detainment. You know, and I asked the officer multiple times to release me and let me go, and he would not. And apparently his lieutenant sent him some paperwork and told him what to write on this warrant to have me arrested. So after 2.5 hours of sitting in this car, they had me arrested. He brought me back in there, and he also told me, and this is on body cam footage too, that if it didn't work this time, he would let me go and also give me a ride home. Because I asked him, I said, will you give me a ride home? He said, yeah. But that he was going to take it to a grand jury the next day and make sure that I'm arrested. So he brings me back inside, and the magistrate judge, you could tell that right away that he'd received a phone call about this. And he signed the paperwork and put me in the jail. I was released within 15 minutes. And I made it outside just in time to see this officer. And he advised me, you know, because I was wanting the title back to my car because they took the title out of my car that I had just purchased. And he advised me that he was seizing my car because it was unregistered and I didn't sign the title. Well, I got proof of ownership of this car. I got a bill of sale on this thing, and I just bought it 16 hours prior. The DMV's not open on, Saturday. You got to register the vehicle on Monday. So he began to tell me that he was seizing the vehicle. Those are his exact words, actually.
That's being seized as evidence also.
And I talked to Corporal Padilla this morning on the phone, and he told me now that I can have the car back. I just need to get my lawyer to file a motion, and I can have it back. So it seems like now they're trying to give me the car back so I can go out and do something stupid so they actually have something to stick against me. But I've already contacted my attorney on that, and of course, we're not into making trouble or doing anything that's going to get us in trouble. We just like shooting footage and doing things at our shop and doing things at race events and stuff of that nature. Yes, did we technically break the law by doing a burnout in front of my house on a roadway? Yes, we did. And we take full responsibility for that. But we were doing a burnout in the driveway and in front of my house, and that's all we did that can be considered wrong. And yes, if you want to give me a ticket, that's fine. But in no shape, form, or fashion did I criminally impersonate anybody. And that's what the issue is here. So we're fighting against that. We have Richard Brooks, which is a civil rights attorney, that will be representing us in a civil lawsuit against Montgomery County Sheriff's Department for the amendment violations such as search and seizure, unlawful detainment, unlawful arrest, and the list goes on that took place in this situation. PNC Law is representing us out of Nashville, and they will be handling the criminal aspect of it. and we're going to fight this with everything that we got, and we want the Panda back. On Monday, I tried to call, you know, the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department to, you know, get my car back. And this is what he said.
Okay, well, once the case is adjudicated in court, if the judge allows you to have your car back, you'll get your car back. But until then, it's going to be an impound.
So then on day 2, on Tuesday, I called back again as a joke to ask about visitation and stuff about the car, and that I wanted my car back. And this is what he said.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Hey, sir, I just spoke to one of my lieutenants. They said that they spoke to the DA, and your attorney is going to have to file a motion with the court to get your car back.
So that's 2 different stories. The first day you tell me I can't get the car back until this trial is adjudicated, etc. And now you spoke to somebody when you got off the phone and tell me that if my attorney files a motion, I can have the car back. 2 different things, guys. So all that leads you to believe is they want to give me the car back, so I'll do something stupid so they actually have something to make it stick and put me in jail. So if we look at the TCA statute, all right, in order for me to criminally impersonate someone, I have to be acting in that aspect of it. So doing a burnout with blue and red lights flashing isn't impersonating anybody, especially if I'm not pulling over anybody. So what this all stems from is the report that I pulled somebody over, multiple cars over, to include a Mustang more specifically. So I'd have to actually do that, but I never pulled anybody over. So that's what they're trying to say has been done that hasn't been done. And of course, like I said, we have tons of evidence that proves otherwise. But, you know, using blue lights on a roadway is a ticketable offense, so we take full responsibility for that, doing that in front of our house. But as far as the statute states that we have to be actually acting in that aspect that we're a cop. So me pulling somebody over, acting like I'm a cop, or getting out and trying to give somebody a ticket, or, you know, putting myself in a position where I'm acting like law enforcement, and we haven't done that. You know, so this is something that's trying to be forced, that didn't happen, and that's what we're going against. Another thing too, as far as IDing somebody that was driving a vehicle, the windows are tinted on this thing, and you can't see in and out of it. You know, and that's a violation too. You know, so they could hit us with window tint law, but there's no one's been ID'd in this thing. No one has said Thomas West pulled me over. You know, it's, as I said, none of this ever happened. And again, if it did, you would think out of these 6 or 7 callers that called in, that is reportedly what was said, that 6 or 7 of these people would be able to ID me or say that I actually pulled them over or something of this nature, which none of this ever happened. So there is no callers, especially this guy in a Mustang or girl, whoever it was. And no one's ever called in because none of this has ever taken place. So first off, you know, arresting me on this charge, you know, I'm not sure if that's an offense right away, because you can literally, I guess these guys can take somebody to jail if they feel it's the right thing to do. You know, so, you know, initially charging me with this and taking me to jail, you know, that's one thing. But once this paperwork was submitted to the magistrate judge and he said that there's no probable cause for this and to release me, I should have been released right away. And there wouldn't have been anything come of this. So there wouldn't be this video, all this extra stuff on YouTube, none of this would have happened. So holding me in a police cruiser, handcuffed, for 2.5 hours is an illegal detainment. All right, you were told by a judge to release me and to let me go. All right, so a 2.5 hour illegal detainment is an amendment violation. All right, it's called an unlawful detainment. All right, and that's where Mr. Richard Brooks jumps in the picture. Disposing of the initial arrest warrant and making a new one. All right. In some way, that comes into fabrication of evidence, you know, because why, if this was evidence to begin with, why wasn't this put in the initial arrest warrant? So none of that happened. And right now, I've actually spoke to Clarksville today that posted a story today about, hey, you know, is this true or what's going on? And, you know, the police report says one thing, I'm saying another. So we're responding to a lot of that. And I told them, you know, where's this initial arrest warrant? Because I asked for it, and I wasn't provided this initial arrest warrant. They won't give it to me. And we do have the magistrate's name. It's on the arrest warrant. So we want to know what happened to this original arrest warrant and why that was turned down, and why I wasn't released. You know, so there's some type of fabrication of evidence that comes in play here to make them arrest me afterwards, 2.5 hours later. The whole search and seizure part, after speaking with my lawyer.
Well, seize means that they're taking the vehicle.
I got it on camera, bro, that he said that. On camera.
And there's paperwork that they have to give you, and you have X number of days to respond when there's a seizure. You're right. So the car's not seized. So apparently he doesn't understand what seizure means.
So they told us we weren't getting our car back, but let me assure you, we are, and we got some ideas. Let me hear what you guys got to say about Cody Evans. We're not sure of a court date yet, but whenever we do find this court date out and we're able to appear in court, anybody that's following me, all my friends, I would really appreciate it if you would show up with me. And we're going to let everybody know when this court date is and to make an appearance. All right? We're going to be giving out free shirts, free gear, free swag, hats, everything at this event. All right? I want everybody that I could get there. All right? We need to stand up against police doing wrong injustices, all right, against everybody out here. Just because you're a police officer and wear that uniform doesn't give you the right to do whatever you want. Whoever brings the funniest, most ridiculous sign to this event, I'm giving $1,000 to.
So long, gay boys!